he started touching my chest and doing circles and going down and up. You were touching me. What are you doing? I said, please stop, please. And he said, you're dreaming. You're dreaming. Let me finish.
What's up, everybody? It's Beneath the Silence here coming at you. Don't forget, we speak from scars, not the wounds they left. I'm your host, Sam. Today, I'm joined by two special guests. First off, I would like to appreciate Project Help for collaborating with us on this episode. We would also like to thank them for bringing the guests that we have on our episode for today. Can you kind of introduce Project Help? Let us know a little bit about the organization and what it stands for within our community.
Sure. Project Help is the Rape Recovery and Victim Service Center for Collier County. We provide services for any victim of a violent crime. I know it says rape crisis in our name, but it's anyone that has been a victim of a violent crime and it actually creates trauma. So what we do in our office is we provide advocacy, civil and criminal. So that means from the beginning of the assault, we provide the forensic exam, which is better known as a rape kit. And we work very closely with law enforcement on that. And then we kind of continue the process in holding their hands through the whole criminal justice process. So that's the advocacy part, civil and criminal. Then what we do is we provide counseling one-on-one, and that's just peer-to-peer counseling. We also provide therapy, so full-on therapy services for all the victims, and it's all trauma-informed. We also have support groups, and also we have a 24-hour crisis line that is available for anyone in the community.
If somebody would like to get in contact with Project Help, how would they go about that?
They can go to our website and then they can chat if they wanted to through our website, or they can call our 24-hour crisis line, which is 239-262-7227. That's the best way to get a hold of someone. It's 24/7, and even if they don't speak the language, we have a language line that we utilize that can do the translation.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And for you guys out there in the audience, if you're going through something like that, you guys heard the number. You guys could simply reach out and somebody would definitely be there to help. Right here, we have our guest with us today. This is somebody who chose courage over silence. We're going to give our guests a quick second to introduce themselves. Let us know a little bit about who Maida is without having to get into your story just yet.
Well, my name's Maida, as you said, and I'm a registered nurse and mother of two grown children. I also love art and love being a nurse.
Okay.
I've been for 39 years.
All right. So that pretty much sums a little bit about you. But before we get into everything, can you kind of take us back to who you were before the experience, before everything happened?
Um, I would call myself a very free-spirited type person. Um, very passionate about life. Find a lot of joy in the little things. I love scripture, so that's always lit me up. And I found art as a release from my work as a nurse, especially during, after and during COVID. You needed something to just get your mind off of things that were going on around you. I was born in Manhattan and grew up in New York, got my degree up there. So back then I loved working trauma and drama, but I don't really, I wouldn't like that anymore. But since COVID, the healthcare industry has changed. People are a lot sicker, and I think just having gone through the several years of that crisis, it really put a lot of pressure on all of us, whether it be someone who picks up linen to a secretary to, nurses, doctors, anybody. It just was a lot. But yeah.
So when it came to childhood, did you feel like you had a very supportive environment growing up? And how was that like growing up a little bit?
Well, it's funny. I was just speaking to Vanessa about it. My grandparents, both my grandfathers had come over from Italy and into Ellis Island and had became physicians at 2 different hospitals in New York City. And then both my grandmothers were nurses and at 2 different hospitals, and they met each of my grandfathers in the OR.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I kind of, even though it is a calling,
Mhm.
I was raised being a nurse,
Okay, I get
working
that.
in their offices and
Mhm.
things like that, and enjoying every bit of it. I always love being around people and helping people.
That's good.
Yeah.
For the next part of this conversation, we want to kind of take it into your story, to
Mhm.
kind of get to know what exactly happened. So, can you kind of take us through the journey of you being sexually assaulted? I don't know at what age, but can you kind of walk us through that?
Sure.
Take your time, and whenever you feel comfortable, you can kind of guide us
Mhm.
through that journey.
Well, what happened to me, it was an unfortunate situation. It happened at a medical spa in Naples on Fifth Avenue, probably one of the last places you would think something of that nature could happen. Um, it was run by a husband and wife, Dr. Eric and his wife. And I had been seeing them over several years, and I would say I had become friends,
Mm-hmm.
so not to go out with them, but friendly with them, and because I was a nurse, and he was a doctor, and his wife was a nurse practitioner. Um, so I would go for some minor little procedures like filler, or they he do these thread things that
Mm-hmm.
people used to do, um and they used nitrous oxide, which is, other people may know it as laughing gas.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want, you could have Xanax, which I had. But so what happened was, I had gone in there to have some, um, I believe it was like all therapy on my neck, and you go under nitrous oxide, and had some Xanax, and he said we have to go to a different room this one particular time. So we
Mm-hmm.
went to a room that was not one of the regular setup rooms, and I trusted him, and I wouldn't have a reason not to, and I went into the back room, and he was, you're comfortable, I'm breathing in the nitrous, I had my meds, and the next thing, I was very, very out of it, and I remember starting, oh, you have these vibrating things in your hands to kind of
Mm-hmm.
take your sensory uh, off of, just say what's the pain, and you're holding on to something vibrating. And the next thing I know, I thought, well, he started touching my chest and doing circles and going down and up, and I'm like, wow, like like I I I'm under, so I'm having trouble wanting to speak and saying, you know, is this happening? And all of a sudden, I just like was feeling pressure with these vibrating things that you're holding. And I just like, I just jumped up and I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, and he just went like that. And then he said, nothing. What? And I said, you were touching me. What are you doing? I said, please stop, please. And he said, you're dreaming. You're dreaming. Let me finish. So I remember feeling very ill, and I just it was like very hard to accept at that moment, and the time from when he was done to out of the room, I don't even know what went by. But when he was gone out of the room and the door shut, I remember getting my phone from the side chair, and I just was like texting my family in the Cayman Islands and in New York. And I said, something just happened to me at the doctor's office while I was under nitrous oxide. And they're like, are you okay? And I said, I don't know. I said, something happened. And, they were texting back, get out of there. So I just got my clothes and I got dressed as quick as I can. And I started to walk out and I was wobbly and everything. And the wife saw me and I said, I don't feel well. And she said, sit down for a minute in the office. And I said, oh, I don't feel well. And she just kept trying to talk to me, like, and I'm sitting there like, I just cannot believe what just went on. Like, is this for real or not? And then I said, I'm gonna go, and I just like picked up stuff and I walked out and got in my car, and I was just crying and crying, and I called my family, told them what happened. Um, um, then I was just in shock, absolute shock.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "Are you gonna call the police?" And I said, "No." I was afraid, very afraid. And then I went to my doctor the next day and told him what happened because I couldn't believe it. And he said, Maida, you're probably not the only one. And, are you going to go to the police? I said, no, please, please, no. I don't want any of this. And uh, I just tried to kind of push it down and make it like it didn't happen. And then I just remember feeling like no one's going to believe this, or, maybe my head just made it up because my head so much wanted to feel like that didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said to my doctor, I promise you, if anyone else goes through, I promise I will go to the police. So I had to keep going to my doctor and all. But then what happened was a couple months later, I, in my own way, I was trying to deal with things. And I went back to the office and I tried to talk to the wife because I wanted to confront them. I wanted to see him and see his face and see whatever. And he wasn't there. And then she wasn't, and she took me right in and she was talking, and I said, that last treat, I was very uncomfortable, and she was, I could tell, getting a little bit stern with me. And anyway, I didn't like the way that I felt then from her. And she said, well, I could change the person to have someone else finish what, the procedure stuff. So I had said, okay. So then I went back and it was him. And I thought, well, maybe this was the medication. Maybe this was whatever. And I went back and the nitrous. And I was under, and I was I was purposely not breathing in as much as he wanted me to because I wanted to catch him. But then all of a sudden, I was out of it again. I don't know what the heck. It was like, out. I can't describe it. Just you a blackout of some sort. And sure enough, I caught him touching me again and doing. And I said, stop. And he said, you're dreaming. I said, no, I'm not. Stop it. And he finished whatever. I fell back down and he finished what he was doing. And that was the end. And I had my answer to myself. I was not dreaming. That was all really happening. And then what happened was I was, why I made that choice to go back, I needed to for me. And I got that answer, but I still said nothing. All of a sudden, I was in a uniform store, actually, buying a lab jacket for work. And a group text came through, and with a bunch of nurses and people that I work with. And it was like, oh my God, look at it had Dr. Salada's picture in like a felon outfit, arrested for rape, for raping 2 women. I fell on the floor at the uniform place, because this was all true, and he was doing it to other people. So at that point, I called 911 right from there, just like I had promised that and I called 911, and they came and, it was very hard, but that was Collier County, so I had to be switched down to the city of Naples where it happened. So I had to go to the city of Naples, and he was in custody at that point. And I was shocked. I couldn't believe that this was real, but it was real. And now two women, now had reported. So I was the third while he was in custody. And I just remember with the police again, like, not sorry that I didn't come sooner, but I just was so afraid I wasn't going to be believed. And now these women. And anyway, what happened was, they bonded him out, and I got a phone call a day or two later from one of the detectives, and he said, Maida, Dr. Eric, the doctor killed his wife. I said, what? What? He killed Jill? And he said, no, the doctor took his life. And I said, oh my God. Like, I just it was just another nightmare. Like he took his life
Mhm.
when they let him out, and it that hurt a lot too, because not only you're going through the emotions of what happened to you,
Mhm.
but also that someone has taken their life over all of this. And anyway, pretty much that ended any of course any
Mhm.
criminal things. But in total it ended up being about 18 women that came forward
Mhm.
from all ages. I believe it was, I think 16 maybe to 74. And yeah. And the police, actually, the Naples City Police were wonderful with me, absolutely wonderful. And they gave me the number of Project Help, and they wanted me
Mhm.
because they could see I was not in good shape. And I don't have any family that lives in Florida right now and
Mhm.
at that time. And I I was destroyed. I was absolutely destroyed. And I went there, and they were wonderful. They were so wonderful, but I felt like I was walking through a dream. And it took a lot of time, a lot of counseling. I honestly did not want to live. I was like, I'm done. I just all I could say is my brain felt like someone took a hammer and smashed it. Like I could feel my brain hurt, like it was hurting
Mhm.
to try to process all this and go through it. But Project Help guided me step by step, took me through a lot of things. They cared so much. I mean, they would call, check, am I all right? They specialize in this type of thing, so they know how to work with
Mhm.
people that have gone through these things. And one of the biggest things is,
Mhm.
are people going to believe me?
Yeah.
Because you think they're not, or you start to. It's a weird
Mhm.
mind game. You start to doubt yourself.
Yeah, that
You're
is true. And throughout that journey, what did surviving that experience require from you to heal without knowing that somebody would believe that it happened to you? Like, how did it feel knowing that Project Help took you under their wings and they knew that your story was real and then they catered to it?
oh my gosh, so supportive. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Um, I know this sounds a little cliche. I don't know how I would have done it, get through this
Mhm.
without them. I still go through some things, and they've taught me a lot of coping things, or if I feel different, or it is a process. It's a journey of healing
Mhm.
for this. It's not a 1, 2, 3 fix. Absolutely not. But they have the specialty. um Shayna, my counselor, has just been amazing with me through this, to the point that the first day I went there, there was a sign for their gala on the
Mhm.
on the counter, and I'll never forget that. And I just looked at it and I said, "Oh my gosh, people are living, and I feel like I'm dying."
Mhm.
And then a year later, I actually spoke at the Ritz-Carlton at their gala
Wow, that's
about
beautiful.
about
Mhm.
these incidences and
Mhm.
going through
So, what is something that you wish people understood about surviving sexual assault?
that. You're not crazy. You're not, especially when there's like drugs or alcohol involved, or like in my case that it was. Um, believe, yes, what happened to you, and you don't have to push it down. And there are people that will believe you. And we are so blessed in this town to have Project Help as a resource available to this community. And me being a nurse here, I never knew about it prior to this happening to me. And I commend them for what they have done, honestly, and what they continue to do to help people.
How has this experience reshaped the way you see yourself now?
Well, I'll say that I'm less apt to second guess myself. Go with your discernment. Go with your gut, your spirit. You know, when something doesn't feel right, it's not right. Don't turn a red flag green.
I get you on that.
Just no.
So, if somebody's listening and they're going through an experience like you did, what do you think they would want to hear right now?
You didn't do anything wrong. You did not do something to provoke that person to take advantage of you. It's not what you have on. It's not what gender, race, age, how you look. That person overstepped a boundary that they should have never overstepped. And so many times it's, what did I do to have that happen to me? You didn't do anything. You did nothing. That person, in their unfortunate way of thinking, felt that that was okay or entitlement. I don't know. But you did nothing wrong.
And what are some practices that kind of helped you heal throughout your process and your experience?
I would say my practices, well, I always had a butterfly garden, and I always loved learning from my garden. And the different stages of the caterpillar to the chrysalis to the monarch, and then the butterfly out and laying its eggs again on the milkweed. And it's funny because I love my garden, but it went by the wayside at that time. And then I had finally gotten back into it, and I through that, I kind of took it as what had happened to me in a lot of ways. And I drew a couple of pictures about it, if you want me to show you them. Some of the I have to see her again because I haven't looked at her in a while. So this girl is very closed off, kind of, because this is how I was at first, because you're just all scrunched up, kind of like what I would say being in a chrysalis yourself, because you're and what goes on in a chrysalis is a metamorphosis, a transformation.
That is true.
And so this girl, to me, depicts the girl first going in a closed off way, but the butterflies are around her. This one, and I got a lot of these. Some of these came out of my garden, but I only use the monarchs that don't make it to, they don't live, so I could use their. But some of these, they're also real as well. But this is a girl. I say a girl, but it's me, but I speak of it in a different.
Yeah, I get you. Just so everyone else can relate to to artistic vibe that it's giving, so somebody else could find their own meaning within it. So you don't really put a
Absolutely.
label on it specifically,
Mhm.
but you let it be interpreted in other ways. So if somebody could find healing in it, they can find
Yes.
it in their own ways.
Yes, like see her face is the
Hmm.
chrysalis.
Yeah.
And then you know, and then I have a cage here with the chrysalis in it because
Hmm.
you do feel like you're in a cage for a while.
Yeah, that is true.
And it's kind of, then
Hmm.
all of a sudden the butterflies are coming out.
Hmm.
They're coming out of their chrysalises. The transformation is happening. And I feel as if that is a lot of the way that my life has gone
Hmm.
since this incident.
With this segment right here, we call it the lightning round. So
Mm-hmm.
this is to kind of bring a little humor to make sure that you're a little bit relaxed. Because I realize throughout this story you've been very emotional about talking into your experience. Like you were very emotional in talking about your experience. So right here, these are a few questions that we have. First answer that comes to mind, you can let it out. What's one word that describes your strength?
Resilient.
A song, quote, or phrase that brings you comfort.
Mm, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
That's perfect. What does healing mean to you today?
A process. A process. Be gentle with yourself. Be gentle with your mind and you. Give yourself grace. Speak to yourself in love, just as if you were to speak to a friend that an incident happened to.
Mhm. Well, we would like to appreciate you for building up the courage to choose our podcast as a safe space to kind of tell your story. It was well appreciated. And to those out there that's going through something like that, there's a group like Project Help that's out there to help you. Whether they're close to you or you're in another vicinity, you can find a group and there's always going to be help out there. All you have to do is take that
Yes.
first step and reach out. Is there any last words that you would have for the audience, for anyone that's listening?
Believe and don't lose hope. Do not lose that hope. It's like a light inside of you and it's always there. And sometimes it may be dark, just like inside of that chrysalis. And that butterfly, that caterpillar didn't know what the heck was going on. But in the end, it came out to be a beautiful butterfly full of life and love.
Thank you for kind of telling us that story. It's something that a lot of us are gonna look back to, and there's some people that they might be going through the same thing. The fact that you ended up building courage to call for help, I feel like that would encourage them to call for help too.
Yeah,
Although that they feel like
please.
they're struggling, they feel like they're boxed up in a cage.
Yep.
I know hearing your story can kind of help them, and could be the key to that cage, so they could be free, and so
Yes.
others could hear them. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share this episode with somebody else, with a friend, with somebody that you know that's going through this thing. There's always going to be somebody out there to help.
Yeah.
And don't forget, if you're here in Naples, Project Help is here. And as we stated the number earlier, I will put it down in the link, and I will put it down in the captions too, just in case if you need someone to talk to and somebody that can help you out. Project Help will definitely be there for you. Thank you. This was Beneath the Silence. Until next time, peace.
Peace.